Hello.
Hello, Allison. How you doing?
I'm good. Here, let me punch the next button.
Okay, I can't see you. I just see your picture there. Oh, there you are.
Here I am. Lighting and everything is good.
Oh, well, you don't have to worry about that. Please.
Beautiful. Okay, fire
Okay.
away.
I backed up a little bit so I'm not this giant head next to you here. Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3. How you doing, everybody? My name is Dean Olson. I'm a songwriter, radio host, and producer from Orange County, California. And I'm really just an average guy, but when I get behind this microphone, I call myself the strong writer on the radio, helping songwriters and artists keep musically fit. And the way I love to do that is through faith and hope and encouragement. And by taking in the stories and experiences told to me by my wonderful guests, and by learning from the best in the business and passing it along to you. And now that I got that intro out of the way, it's another great day for a fantastic show. I want to welcome you to it. It's a very special episode today that I'll be filing under my celebrity interviews series. The woman you're seeing on the screen here is Alison Arngrim. She was a standout child actor on a top-rated TV show some time ago called Little House on the Prairie. Maybe you've heard of it. She played the spoiled daughter of the general store owners in town, the antagonist, Nellie Oleson, which I believe everybody will remember because she did that very convincingly. And she is also a stand-up comedian, an author. She has a radio show that I listen to from time to time. She is a philanthropist with many worthwhile causes. And currently she is a director to a special show that is featuring Rich Little, who I'll be talking to very soon. And I'd love to talk to her about that as well. So much to talk about and so much going on with this wonderful woman here. So I want to put your hands together for Miss Alison Arngrim. Who's that clapping? Okay, great. Very.
I even have a clapping. I have an applause sound effect on my show. You can totally get one.
I would love to do all that stuff. I'm quite the audiophile, and I love to play with sound effects, but that's too much work nowadays. So I don't have the fancy Zoom green screen back here or anything like that. I just like to try to keep myself a little bit second banana and host to my guest and let the guest shine. And that's what I'm going to let you do because you definitely are worth it. I'm enamored, or I'm in awe of all the things that you do, Allison. So, and how do you do it? My goodness, you must have a lot of energy, which I'm jealous for. I'm close to your age, so I know.
I do, but I gotta tell you, I take a lot of naps.
Aren't they great?
I recommend naps. That when you have a very full schedule, if there's a break in the afternoon, in Japan, I think they do that. They have things where people can take a nap at work. There's some countries will do that. In America, we're like, no, I can't. We totally are all sleep deprived. If you can find a moment in the afternoon and say, well, I'm going to get 20 minutes, because you don't want to do two more in 20 minutes, because then you get groggy. But you go and like lay down, close your eyes. It really helps. And I have to admit, I do frequently. I take naps. And I have a thing. I remember my father talked about this because he was a manager of a lot of actors. He said, you do have the ability to turn it off. And he said, and that's important. He said, some people don't. They go all day, and they got back-to-back shows and back-to-back interviews, and then they're just like, wired again. And he said, you do that. He said, but at some point you go, oh, yeah, okay, click. Oh, all right, I'm gonna rest now. He says, that's why you're going to, stay alive, because this thing will kill you. I do take naps. I do take my vitamins. I try to stay healthy, but man, oh, man, I just got back. I was just in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Really?
Make it back in production. We are back in production. Some shows are going back. It's
That's
like
good.
making a movie underwater. You got your masks, you have your little picnic lunch, you have your distancing, you have all sorts of stuff going on. I felt like that we're making a movie. We're like in a submarine or something. But I got tested before I went. I got tested when I got there. Everybody was tested repeatedly. They took our temperatures all day long. We had little masks. At lunchtime, well, it was Utah. We were out on a lawn, and the mountain is right there, and there were apple trees and pear trees, and we had little lunches with roast chicken and things. And I was like, well, this isn't terrible. This is great. So we were fine, and the makeup people were all masked up and gloved up like we're at the dentist's office. And by golly, we shot a movie, and it was great.
Beautiful scenery, I suppose, right? Yeah, out there.
gorgeous, out in Utah, and at least one Osmond is involved because
Okay. Yeah, well,
managed,
they're everywhere in the state. I think it's a
they
law.
go. It's a Nathan,
Yeah.
lovely guy. They managed to draft an Osmond into this, but really, and it's a cute film. It's a really cute film, and I'm evil. I'm the villain. I'm terrible. I'm awful.
Oh, really? Okay. Is this an undisclosed project? It's still in production, obviously, so you haven't done.
Still in production. It's going to be called. Now that's the thing. They want to change titles all the time. At last call, it was called Twice Upon a Song. Although they said, we might go with Even in Dreams because the song that she sings at the end of the thing, even. I'm like, okay, fine, Even in Dreams. But it's a sequel. That's the thing. Is there was this movie called Twice the Dream. And Savannah Osler, I met this girl, she's from Utah, and I met her we were both on a panel at this like really crazy Comic Con in Pocatello, Idaho, of all places. And we met, and I had her on my show, talk about her filmmaking, how she wanted to write this movie since she was a teenager. And then she did it. She got the thing produced as an adult. She got the thing, and it's about these young girls trying to make it in the music industry and not sacrifice their principles. And it's like, female-driven story, really uplifting, and by God, she did it. And I saw the film, and even though I know this is made for 49 cents, but wait, this is like good. So I was very impressed. And so when she said, I'm doing a sequel, and well, there's a part of a band manager, and well, she's evil and manipulative and totally two-faced, and I was like, oh, don't say anymore, I'm in. So I'm the evil band manager. It's really great.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Now, by the way, in the intro, I was going to sort of joke around and say, calling from Facebook jail, Miss Alison Arngrim. I'm calling you Miss because, obviously you're a married woman, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what was Facebook jail? Why are you there, or why were you in?
I only a few more days. This is the dumbest thing, and the thing is, I took it rather in stride and patiently. A lot of my fans were really upset; they're furious.
Oh, I was there. I saw them. Yeah, they were not happy.
Like, how dare they? I sort of took it in stride because I know, unfortunately, right now, so much stuff is done totally by algorithm. There are no actual humans involved in half the things on the internet. And frankly, when the pandemic hit, Facebook sent home half the staff. There's no one there. So when you report something, if someone clicks on something and says, I am reporting this, the idea that there's actually a human being who's going to sit there and watch the video and say, no, there's no problem here. This is within, and deny it. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
So things are just lost in this algorithm mathematical machine hell. And so, of course, there's nothing to do. I'm sitting there wearing a bonnet, for heaven's sake, reading Little House on the Prairie. You could not have gotten more G-rated.
More wholesome, yeah.
It's totally wholesome. But I'm not sure. I'm guessing. But there was someone in the comments who was being weird and insulted somebody. Someone may have gone to report the comment, and it accidentally reported the whole page.
Oh.
Or the person who was being rude decided to report it just to be awful.
Yeah, Aunt at the picnic, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. We don't know. We have no idea because they don't tell you. They will not tell you why.
Yeah.
You can't phone anybody. And you don't even have a, do you think this is incorrect? Please email. No, there is nothing. There's nowhere to complain. Somewhere around the 5th day when I would click on it, and it would say, no, you can't go live. And then it said, if you think this is an error here, and now you're going to give me a box where I can say, no, you've made a mistake. So I wrote no, you made a mistake. Here's why. But of course, I'm not hearing from anyone. There's no one there to read it. I went into a black hole. So on day 15, of course, I'm just broadcasting from my husband's page. I can broadcast from my French page. I have other pages I can broadcast from. So it's like,
always a way around it. But it just seems kind of strange that it happened. I thought maybe it wasn't even related at all. Maybe it was just somebody said that, you're reading copyrighted material or something strange like that. It's always some weird off the wall thing that happens.
I've been reading every day since like March 17th. I've been reading literally every day for 6 months.
Yeah. So tell me. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who does the Little House books are my publisher. I published my book. Also, I'm not sure how many crates of Little House books have been sold by these readings, but the number of people who say, I have to go order more Little House books so I can read along with you. So I've probably moved several thousand pounds of product for them. So.
Well, give me a little bit of a taste of how that started. Was this something that you just decided the light bulb went off one day during this pandemic, or did this happen before all this happened? What was the genesis of this?
Absolutely due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, it was, I had gigs. I was going to be doing my stand-up show in New York at the Laurie Beachman Theater in May. I had all these gigs lined up, everything from RuPaul's Drag Con to the Missouri Cherry Blossom Festival. I was appearing everywhere. I just got back from France. I just did an autograph show in Arkansas, and boom, everything shut down. So I went, wow, okay, I can't go to, it's not safe, and it is closed. I cannot go to any of my gigs. And I was sitting in the middle of the floor, just, what am I going to do? Now, my husband was still working, Bob Schoonover, who is in a band by night, but by day at a construction company. He said, well, I'm still working, so we're not in the street. He said, if you do nothing, we're not going out into the street here. We're going to be fine.
Okay.
I said, yeah, but I've kind of been employed since I was 12. He said, you'll think of something. I said, oh, I'll think of something, because you always think of something. You'll be fine. You'll think of something. So a couple days later, I said, it'd be a really good mental exercise. I should go back and reread The Little House on the Prairie books. I read them over the years because of the show, but I hadn't read them like in order to like see how like the character of Laura develops. And I thought, what a great idea. And then I thought, well, everybody else is stuck at home. I'll read them online. So I got my bonnet. I got out my bonnet, you see. I'm serious.
Believe me, I was waiting. I was really hoping for this. So go ahead.
I have all these different color bonnets, so I literally like wear them to go with whatever top I'm wearing, matching colors. And I broke out my books. Now, currently, I've also been reading. I'm reading a Rose Wilder book right now. I got out the books, and I started literally book 1, chapter 1, page 1, Little House in the Big Woods, and started reading. And people went absolutely banana boats. People re-watch it and they share the video. So I got up to like 40, 50,000 views or something ridiculous. And they just couldn't stop. And people from all over the world, when I go on live and I see the comments, it's like, hello, Austria. Hello, Jakarta. How is everyone in Sweden? All over the world.
Oh, that's great. That is really good.
And they love it. And they put on bonnets and they put on it. And so then I started doing all this internet. So I thought, well, this is fun. Then I started doing like, was it Cameo, where the celebrities do the birthday greetings and coach the world and all that?
Oh, that's right.
And then they called me from New York and said, well, we're really bummed that you can't do your show. How do you feel about doing it online? Wait, what? They said, well, some of our clients we've been booking, that's what we're doing. And there's this platform, Stageit. Have you done Stageit.com? Do you know a lot of songwriters and musicians are using it?
I know of Stageit. I actually, when the thing started, I met the owner of Stageit.
Ah, great.
About 10 years ago, and I thought it went away for a while, but it has come back in a big way. Stageit.
That's what's crazy. Stageit was started like in 2011 or something, and they never anticipated that it was going to be like used for this. It was like songwriters go, well, here's a song from our upcoming album. I'm just going to play it for you acoustically here on my couch, and connect with the fans. And they were doing that, and then this happened, and suddenly everyone from drag queens to cabaret singers to huge stars to bands are like, I'm sorry, I need a platform. I have to go live now. And suddenly they're overrun. In fact, I said, I can't do it on my phone. I have to do it through a laptop. They go, we never anticipated any of this happening. We're not even set up for you to use the phone yet. You have to use the laptop. We didn't. Yeah. I'm like, but it's 2020. Everybody does it on the phone. They go, yeah, we didn't know this was going to happen. Okay, we're still set up for laptop. It's like, okay. So it's amazing. And so we set up the thing, right? Like over here in the other part of the living room. I have a backdrop. Okay. And that was it. I did my show in my living room, and it went to people buy tickets. And it was fantastic. It was a smash. So I've now done this several times. I've got another show tomorrow the 24th at 5 LA time. I have one on October 27th and another one December. I have a Christmas show. And then get this. So Rich Little, the Rich Little.
Yes.
The great impressionist. Rich Little, been around for thousands of years. Incredible man, does everybody. So Rich Little, he's not retired. He's been at the Tropicana 4 nights a week. He lives in Vegas. He works every day. He's at Tropicana 4 nights a week. So everything shuts down. So he's stuck in the house, and he's like, I got to perform. I got to see my fans. I got to talk to people. I can't sit here. But he's also older, so he's like, yeah, and I also really cannot risk being exposed to this disease. Mm-hmm. So what do I do? And his people called my people. We share a publicist, Harlan, and I get this call. We heard Alison did a show online. And it went really well. How do we do this? And next thing I know, I'm talking to Rich Little. And it's like, well, it's called Stageit. And I'm doing it. And he has not done a lot of internet stuff. This is like a big, jumping into the 21st century thing for him. By golly, on October 15th, we are doing Virtually Speaking with Rich Little. And he's got a really, really great tech team. But as a performer, it's really weird to do the show in your living room and you're like yelling at the back of a computer or a little tiny camera. And unless, there's no audience. And I had my husband, and Bob is great because, he laughs in all the right places. He knows the show. He laughs exactly what he's supposed to. And then Bob was, because he was running the laptop, he could read the comments. So he's like, okay, they like that joke. So he's like going, so I know where the laughs are. And I got used to it. I told Rich Little, I said, well, remember we used to do those weird TV shows where there was often no studio audience. It was things like Don Kirshner's Rock Concert, and you do stand up to like dead silence, and then they'd put the laugh track in later. We've come back to that. It's a lot like that show. I said, if you remember that gig, it's like that. And you have to have a tight set. It's not like, oh, I'm doing a one-woman show. It has to be an hour and a half. No, now it's Stageit. Now you need a tight set. Like you got 30 minutes. You need to get it all. He's like, I can do that. So they said, as a performer, to have someone who's actually done it, another performer who's actually done this Stageit thing, to come in and work with them, I'm like, I'm your girl. So I am now in the bizarre situation where I am helping Rich Little go live on the internet. It's mind-blowing.
That's very, very cool. And I'm glad you touched on that, because Harlan and I did have a conversation about how Rich Little was mentioning how he's not really retired, as he just signed that wonderful deal. He marked a milestone of how many years in Vegas, performing. Oh, yeah. and all this.
Yeah, he set some record for.
Yeah, he set a record, and then this happens, and he goes, "This is having some time off was okay. I went and saw my daughter, and this is fine, but I need to get in front of an audience. Performers need to perform, basically." And and it's
like 2 books. He's an artist. He also paints and draws.
That's true. So
this is incorporating everything. He's like, well, wait, this is totally different. So I can do real stories from my life about the celebrities I've met. I can do the impression jokes. We can show the paintings. We can do a whole backdrop with the art. So this is going to be a real multimedia extravaganza. He's going to have his drawings he's done the celebrities and his stories about them and the impressions jokes all in one unbelievable online show.
You've obviously seen all those, his drawings, his sketches. They're great. I'm very impressed with those. Yeah, it's not just like you just go, oh yeah, those are great, Rich. Yeah, but no, those are the really good likenesses of all the people that he.
And he's written 2 books. This is one of those people. They come around occasionally who are actually talented in multiple areas, who actually can act, do comedy, write, draw, they can actually do all of those things. He has one of those minds that he is actually able to do all of these things at once.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. So we covered Rich. I really appreciate you because I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Actually, the day cannot get here fast enough, and he hasn't started doing interviews yet.
Stageit.com, and you can buy tickets are on sale now. Buy your tickets.
Stageit.com. Also, Stageit.com is something that you're doing, aren't you? In a couple of days, going to do a show online.
Tomorrow it's 5 o'clock LA time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Confessions of a Prairie Terror.
Nice.
My nightclub show, often when I'm in New York in a club, might be, well, not X, but R. So, but this is because this is going out right smack into people's homes. We kind of took it down to PG.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's great. And my thing was, oh no, how do I do Q&A? My favorite part of my show is the question and answer segment, the Q&A, and people love it. So I just posted a thing yesterday. If you have your questions for Q&A, post them here on my Facebook page. Ask whatever you wanted to know, and we'll write them on. Bob and I write them on little index cards, and then during the show, I go, and now the Q&A. I have your questions, and I read off the cards, and I can do the Q&A section from my living room into other people's living room.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a one woman show as opposed to your traditional stand up gigs that you did. Yeah.
And I've got some sound cues and some crazy stuff and sight gags. I have things happening because we're like, how many things from the one woman show, which is a huge multimedia extravaganza, can we make happen in this technological zone and in half an hour in this space? Well, so again, it's a whole adapting thing. And I have so many friends who are singers or comedians or actors or artists, and they have been devastated by this pandemic because obviously the theaters are closed and the clubs are closed. And not only is their livelihood involve crowds of people, usually like mine, but also their personality. The reason, they're an artist and entertainer, it involves speaking to people, their fans, and connecting. So to have both of these things cut off, and then the complete terror of the pandemic, and people are having, my friends in New York, I mean, it's just devastating. People were just dying right and left. And in LA, what is it? California's now got the most cases. LA County, California's the worst in the US. The US is the worst in the world. And LA County's the worst in California. So
yay, we're number one. Great.
Number one. So it's awful. So this has been very hard. My life was very much about travel, getting on planes, and about crowds of people. So very hard for us. And I've seen a lot of people taking it hard. So, but the adapting it and saying, how do I take this thing I do? Can I put it on the internet? What do I have to do to it to put it on the internet? Can I? And we're doing it. And like I'm talking to you, and these crazy things like Cameo with the birthday. Hello, Grandma. This is Alison Arngrim. Happy. And then there's Coach the World, where people actually sign up for a Zoom call with a celebrity or a lifestyle coach or whatever. Because of all these crazy technology and the Facebook readings, I'm able to say, hi, how you doing? And talk to my fans and followers and connect with them as I would at a meet and greet. So I don't feel cut off anymore, and they don't feel cut off from me. And then I'm able to do my shows, and I'm able to put out the product and also make a living. And I did not think this was human. When in March 13th, you could not have told me. I had never done a Zoom call. I had done a Facebook Live once.
Yeah.
I'm not low tech. I mean, I try to think of reasonably tech, but I'm not super high tech. And I'd never done anything like this in March. And I did not know how I was going to take my whole life and turn it around, put it on the internet. And here I am. Ba-boom.
You've reinvented yourself, to use a cliche, but yeah, what a great thing for you. Like I said at the beginning, I'm just in awe that you have all this happening for you, and it happens so quickly. But you've earned it all, because it's all. Look, you basically were ready to go. All your experience followed you right in the door, so it worked out well, I think, and it's working out well for you. And when you do your
other artists too, I talk to my friends who are comics or singers. I'm like, have you tried this one? Have you tried this platform? Have you signed up for this? And my little lighting camera rig, I've like bought this for people or sent them the link to go get it. I'm like, you got to get the good lighting.
Yeah. Well, you have better ones. I just have a incandescent over here. I've been threatening to get a one just like everybody else, because I'm the same way. I'm not high tech. I'm not low tech either, but I'm also like very slow to change what's been working. You know what I'm saying?
It's like $49.99 on Amazon, man.
I know.
These things. It's awesome.
Just when I'm about ready to pull the trigger, I go, oh, no, let's try something else. We can get to that later or something like that. But it's really, but let's see, I'm getting off track. But when you do your Confessions of a Prairie Terror tomorrow, I can't believe it. Wow. So will Bob, your Ed McMahon, will he be in the side there laughing and supporting you and stuff?
He'll be behind a whole like tripod mini desk with a laptop on it. We check the lighting, and he'll be going, yes, they're laughing, yes. Yeah. And then we have things that get held up in front of the camera. And then we dragged him out at the end because people were like, where's Bob?
Yeah.
And so like the last show we did, so at the end, thank you, lady, and Bob, and he can come out and say hi.
He's side stage all the whole time until the end, then, huh? Yeah, drag him out.
And I'm encouraging him to start playing online, because he's in a band called Catahoula.
Say that again. I'm not sure I understand. Catahoula?
Catahoula, which is the state dog of Louisiana. There's also Catahoula Parish, the Catahoula tribe in Catahoula. And they're very sort of New Orleans. It's a lot like Little Feat. If you like Little Feat and Fleetwood Mac and art, that kind of 70s rock and roll with the whole New Orleans.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. And they were gigging and playing like mad right up until March. In fact, what did they had one, I think just in February, they were at a place, Viva Cantina in Burbank. Now, Viva Cantina, not only, in fact, we went to see my friend, Laura.
Mutual friend. I know Laura, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Laura, she sings at the jazz thing. She did literally the last show at Viva Cantina. She did the last gig. During her gig, they said, we are now closing all bars. Okay, luckily we still serve food, so continue your show. And she finished the last song, and they said, thank you. Everyone please leave. They have now closed restaurants. And we walked out the door at 9 o'clock. So she literally did the last gig at Viva Cantina. They not only closed, they've gone out of business. They've gone bye-bye.
Oh, no.
Yes, many places shut down, but they were able to do takeout or delivery or patio seating, and that's another thing. Bob and I, we try to support our favorite restaurants and order lots of takeout and lots of delivery and go pick things up. So, like, please stay in business. They didn't do it. I don't know what happened that they didn't do takeout, they didn't do patio, but they're not coming back.
Oh, no. Yeah. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Viva Cantina is this place in Burbank, like she said. It's basically a Mexican restaurant with 2 stages, I think. There's
2 stages, the huge one, Vivo Rancho Cantina, and they have the big stage in the back and the little one in the front.
Yeah.
And great. And Catahoula was playing there at least once a month, if not more, doing the big show and the big stage in the back.
So they won't be returning to that place. I had no idea.
Dark, because we were trying to get home. It's like, nope, dark. Drove by, it's dark, checked online, and I finally found some account on Instagram where they're talking about the old days when we have, memories of Cantina. So it's like, I'm like, no. So Catahoula, the guys in Catahoula, and Pamela Clay, lead singer, they're all kind of going, what do we do now? Now Pamela, the lead singer, she's got a whole gig online. So I remember early in that, she's like, I don't know what to do. I said, have you gotten the lighting? Next thing I know, she's got like concerts back to back online. She has a whole concert series now going where she's singing standard. She's doing her Edith Piaf. Actually, she's like on it. She's singing. But it's like they're trying to figure out now, like, what do we do? How do we get the band together? And what platform do we put it on? And so I'm like, God, dude, you got to start playing guitar online. You got to like get with it, man. What are we going to do? You can't just wait to, go back.
Yeah, this is great, and it's wonderful when you can do that. Not everybody wants to. It's tough to get. Well, it's great when you have a following and you can just your fans will follow you online and you can still work and still be creative, and obviously that's what you're doing. You're probably having the unexpected time of your life now, doing things online and had no idea probably.
It is. I had no idea it'd be like this, and then that's things. Yes. Thank you, Michael Landon and Laura Ingalls Wilder. Because at Little House on the Prairie, I have a marvelous following. Well, I'll tell you, these reading the books online, if anything, my following has gone up because, well, people were home, and the number of people who said, I'm home. I have friends and loved ones who've been sick. Everything's terrible. I don't have a job right now. Everything. But for an hour a day, I get to watch you wear a bonnet and talk about Laura Ingalls Wilder and everything's okay. It's really a relaxing, fun time. And boy, people tuned in. And I would say that I have way more people tuning into my Facebook page, my Instagram, my Twitter, everything I'm doing than I did before this started. And I shake my head. I go, what happened? And they're thrilled. They're like, this is a really good thing. We're enjoying this, and we're enjoying the shows.
Yeah.
And they're liking the stuff I'm doing. So I'm pleased. I'm happy. They're happy. We're all. I do feel weird. I spent a lot of time in this chair. Lovely quilt a fan made for me. I spent a lot of time in this chair yakking at my phone. I usually have snacks. I have some goldfish and some Coke. And I live in this chair. It's bananas, but this is what we're all doing.
Yeah, like the Story Lady. Remember that show that Jessica Tandy did something a long time ago where she was just this woman. It was like a Christmas story or something like it, and she would just go and read the stuff, and go to public access and read it. And she had gained a big following, and the whole show, the whole movie revolved around that. And that reminds me a little bit of what you're doing right there. You're the unexpected celebrity and doing something that you probably thought was just a fun thing to do and get some people get their minds off of their troubles, and
it was to cheer people up and to give me something to do. I thought, well, I got to do something, and it's a stress reliever for me too. Who's also reading? Karen Grassley, who was Caroline Ingalls, Ma Ingalls on the show.
Yeah. She's
doing story time. She's doing children's stories. I think she's once a week or every 2 weeks, and she's got a YouTube channel now. You can look for Karen Grassley, Grassle, look her up, and she's reading different children's literature online. So she's the story lady.
Wow.
But like what Patrick Stewart's doing a sonnet a day from Shakespeare. He's been doing a sonnet a day.
Yeah.
So people have been doing really, really cool stuff.
Well,
But
you expect that from Patrick Stewart. I guess he's been
right,
an internet sensation lately for some time.
which is amazing too, because that's not a young person, and look at
Right.
him go. And have you seen Sir Anthony Hopkins' TikTok account?
No, I have not.
Who would even think that Anthony Hopkins had a TikTok account? Anthony Hopkins, and he is a riot. He is hilarious. He's like now talking to his cat. He's absolutely bananas.
you're giving me a scoop on different people here. Karen Grassley and Anthony Hopkins. I'm going to check them out when we're done here.
I'm telling you, and that's the thing is, sometimes in the middle of a disaster, in the middle of something terrible, necessities, mother of invention, sometimes really creative, amazing things are born out of it. And weirdly, in the middle of this, we've got all these really creative people who've said, wait a minute, there must be a way. And we're doing all this fun stuff.
Yeah, there is a lot of ugliness right now, but I noticed that I can't remember what you called. There's a sort of a theme in the radio show that you do is like finding the good, and that's kind of what I do too. I like when I say that my show is it's not really a music show, but it's more exploring the human condition, sort of uplifting people, because songwriters and people who are creative and we can get moody and then undoubtful sometimes of your skills. When things are going wrong, we got to uplift each other, and that's sort of what I like to do on the show when I'm talking to other people in music. But this applies to actors as well as and other people in that business.
So, with my introduction, I said the TV shows and the movies that made us feel good, and the people who made them, and people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see here. Oh, you were talking about your. You mentioned your father, but you didn't mention your mother. Now, your mother is my hero. I remember her. The late Norma MacMillan, I think her name. She was voices so much of my childhood was in that her voices. And,
Saturday morning in the 60s, you turned on the TV and it was like her for like 2 hours. It's all her.
Well, first of all, my favorite shows were voice. She was the lead role in Gumby. She was Gumby, right?
Gumby.
She was Davy and David Goliath, and I think she was on Underdog as a couple voices. I think she was Sweet Polly.
She was Sweet Polly Purebred, Underdog's girlfriend. She was Casper, the friendly ghost.
Casper.
And whenever they do these shows, it's only like two people in a studio half the time. It's like a woman and a guy doing all the voices. So she was Casper, but that meant she was Wendy the Witch and Nightmare the Horse, and she was also Spooky. She was pretty much everybody. And there was a guy who was like the ghostly trio and the deep voices. And Wally Cox, the star, Wally Cox was Underdog, and she was Sweet Polly Purebred, and they had a few artists on that. And then Gumby, it was just her and the guy who was Pokey. So she's Gumby, he's Pokey. And then so when remember when Goo and Prickle showed up?
Yes.
She was Goo, and he was Prickle. And then Gumby had a family. Gumby had a mother and a father and a sister. So she's Gumby's mom, and she's Gumby's sister. And the guy who's Pokey is Gumby's dad, and the thing, and it just gets really nutty. And then Davy is the craziest one, because again, she's Davy, this guy is Goliath. So that means the guy who's Goliath is also the preacher and the policeman and the fireman and Davy's dad. But again, Davy has a mom and a sister and a bunch of friends. There's watching Davy and Goliath, and there's like a scene where there's Davy at home, and there's his sister and three of his friends and his mom. And they're all my mother.
Wow.
So if Davy goes, Mom, can we get more cupcakes? Yes, Davy. Would your friends like anything? Yes, I would like a little. And it's all her. She's having a 7-way conversation by herself.
And the direction on that was very stilted. I think she had to say it the way they told her to say it. She
cracked up over Davy. She said, come on, Goliath, let's go outside and pray.
Yeah. No, that was fun, yeah. And I don't know who was Goliath, but yeah, it was just only a couple of people doing all those voices, right? Yeah.
I think, was it Dawes? There was a guy, Dawes Butler.
Yeah, Dawes Butler. Yeah, I've heard, voiceover stuff. Voiceover was something I wanted to do. I was a cartoonist when I was a kid, and I loved to do like I'm doing here, speaking to a microphone. And I used to do goofy voices, and I wanted to be a character, a voiceover actor for cartoons, because I always thought that was cool. Dawes Butler, Mel Blanc, all those shows.
June Foray,
June Foray, yeah.
Well, it
And
was funny because my mom knew all the voiceover people. She'd meet, and she became friendly with the woman who was the voice of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
yeah, uh-huh.
which was hysterical because, well, they exchanged Christmas cards. So I'm like, I don't know, 9, and my mother comes up to me and says a Christmas card and goes, "This Christmas card is from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer." It's like mind blown. It was like
Plus, I always looked at that they were quirky people. They always seemed to be when you did interviews. Frank
yep.
Welker, and you had
Oh,
yeah, all the Don Messick, all these cartoon people. You would hear them in interviews, and it would almost be like you're going to the mental hospital and all. Yeah, Scooby. There's Scooby. That kind of stuff. But they all had to
well,
have some kind of their act down for when they do interviews on shows and
well,
stuff. So I
they
think
were
that's how
always
it.
very unusual because, like, I was just talking about Chuck McCann in another interview because
Mm-hmm.
episode of Little House, the voice of Tinker Jones, Chuck McCann, brilliant. But he was huge in cartoons. But a great deal of the time, when he did movies and TV shows, he often played someone who didn't speak, who was mute. He played a mute on Little House on the Prairie. So he
I
played
remember.
who didn't speak, and then he would do all these cartoons. But then he also became the guy in the medicine chest. Hi, guy. He was the dude
Yeah,
in the medicine.
that's true. Yeah.
But he was brilliant. So yeah, he was a fascinating person. But yeah, people who do cartoons generally, yes, they were all weird. Absolutely.
I danced around that, making sure I didn't include your mom in the weird thing. I think, oh, she was only the only normal one in
Definitely.
the room. No, it just seemed that way in the interviews. It was so funny. June Foray was funny to watch when she got, because I don't know. I think I was weird that I was paid attention to those interviews because I was
Well, my
interested.
mom later, she did live action stuff and she did pretty quirky stuff there. You ever see the movie Big Business with Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler?
Yes, I have. Fred
The
Ward, I think.
nurse,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the nurse that mixes up the twins at the beginning of the movie,
That's her, I guess, huh?
my mother.
Oh.
So right there, like crazy parts like that. So when she did wonderfully wacky things.
So you're a daughter of show business royalty, it looks like,
Yep, yep.
And
And so that's the thing is for me growing up, I mean, everyone I knew was in show business. So although suddenly I was on a hit series, which was weird, and I was playing the villain, which was
yeah.
wonderfully weird, I knew I had somewhere to go. I mean, people like, wasn't it disturbing? It's like, well, no, if I had been 7 or something when I became famous, that would have been really weird. But I was 12.
12,
And I
right.
knew the difference. I knew pretend was not real. My mother had been a cartoon. I know she wasn't really a talking ball of clay. I knew that things were pretend, that people went into a studio, so I had a good sense of that. And I liked villains. I liked Vincent Price and villains, so I didn't mind playing the villain. I was thrilled. So I understood that people didn't hate me; they hated her.
Yeah.
So it was fine by me when people would say, "Hate you so much."
Well, you have to have good directors for that thing, but for you to pull that character off and everybody get into it, and that made me so mad when she treated Laura that way or something. How could she do that?
Right.
And
The cruel that this poor girl who stuttered. I mean, well, I call that the episode where I hate me. It's just so awful.
Yeah. But now I had a few years back, I had Charlotte Stewart, who played your teacher, on the show for a couple seasons, and she was talking about her audition. She had an interesting audition when she went into Michael Landon, Ed Friendly, and she basically took charge and says, "Okay, I'm gonna play the teacher. Now you all sit down and be quiet," and that kind of stuff. And she gave a very memorable story of how that happened. But for you, was being a child actor, did your parents bring you in and try to go to auditions and try to how did that all I was just basically leading up to how did you land that role?
I had an agent. I think I probably signed with an agent when I was 2 or something. I was auditioning as a baby in New York, so they were pretty established. My parents had run a theater in Canada, so I started working when I was 5, 6 years old. I had my SAG card, and member since 1967.
Wow.
SAG member at 5. So I was working doing commercials and little shows, and then I did a movie when I was 10. Throw Out the Anchor with Richard Egan and Dina Merrill. Stupid. It's cute. I got paid. So I did this movie, and literally my father actually sat me down and gave me the "you might be washed up" speech. You haven't booked a lot since the movie. Child actors sometimes don't work until they're. I'm like, wait, what? I'm 11. So Little House was my comeback role. I actually weirdly read for the part of Laura, but I think everyone did. I mean, everyone on Earth like read for the part of Laura. So like Melissa Gill beat out hundreds and hundreds of people for that. But they kept calling me back to read for all these different characters. I'm like, what is going on? And then I come back. I don't know. There's a Nellie Oleson. I hadn't read the books. Like Charlotte. I was like, clueless.
Yeah.
But they handed me the sides, and as soon as I saw them, I turned to my dad, who's sitting with me, and I said, This girl's a total bitch." My father said, "What?" And I start reading it for him. Well, he starts laughing. He goes, "Don't touch it. Don't change it. Don't rehearse it again. Don't even look at it. Put the pages down. Don't even look at it. You go in, you read it like that." And I did. And it was Michael and Kent McCrae and Ed. And they were in hysterics. They were laughing so hard. I just was like, wait, what is happening? And then they said, "Could you read it again?" I was like, "What would you like me to change?" And they said, "Nothing. Just read the thing about the house again." It was that my home speech from the first episode that I'm in, Country Girls, where Nellie does an essay, but all she talks about is how much everything in her house cost.
Yeah.
It's my home. It's the best home in all of Walnut Grove. We have real lace curtains on all the windows, and it is hilarious. And I nailed it, and they couldn't believe that this tiny little girl was like nailing this comedic thing. So like, "Could you do that again?" And I was hired on the spot. That was it. I got home, and the agent's like, "Well, they called, and we've already made the deal, and your wardrobe fitting is Tuesday." It's like, it happened.
That's great.
So that's crazy. But yeah, Charlotte's a genius, and Charlotte got in there and she didn't know what to do. She had played school marms before. She'd been on like Bonanza and Gunsmoke. I mean, she's been in every Western going.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Oh, school marm again." And she didn't even dress up. She'd like forgotten. She showed up like in jeans and a t-shirt, and all the women were in their school marm dresses. And she's like, she didn't know it was for a series. She's like, "So it's like an episode? Is this a TV movie?" Not realizing it was going to be a 4-year thing. So she comes in like, yeah. And she thought, what can I do differently? And when she walked in, she saw this big old desk, and she was like, "Okay, what the heck? I got nothing to lose." And that's when she said, "I need your desk. Please get up," and made Michael Landon, made them move. So that he have his desk, took his desk away from him, and made these guys sit in chairs in front of the desk and walk back to Ed Friendly's desk, took it over and said, "Be quiet," and starts like carrying on like the teacher. And they were blown away. She said she was sure she didn't get it. She thought they probably think this crazy actress just barged into my office and took my desk. And of course, it was genius. And they went, "Yeah, that's Miss Beadle. That is our Miss Beadle. If anybody could have the nerve to do that, it's got to be on the show." And that's the thing. I read my sides of this terrible girl, very cool, very, very, very snobby, but very deadpan in a way. My home is the best home in all of Walnut Grove. And I don't know a lot of children come in and do a reading like that. And so it was people who came in, and Michael had a thing about that. In fact, Dean Butler, our lovely Almanzo, talked about it. He said he asked someone who knew Michael, had worked on a show with him, said, "I don't know. He just gotten out of college, and he's like reading for this huge thing on a series. I don't know, what do I do?" And his friend said, "Oh yeah, Michael Landon, don't act." "What? I just went to university to learn to act. What are you talking about?" "Don't act. Just don't do any. Just do it natural. Just don't get crazy. Don't act. Don't let them see you acting." And that was the thing. That's why Little House worked, because when you watch it, and that's why so many people to this day are so pulled into it emotionally, because it's very real. Everyone's doing this real kitchen sink realism, and they're not acting. They're just doing it. And on the downside, that is why people still hate me and are afraid of me. And to this day, I have people who are like, "Oh no, it's her," because they're like, "That wasn't acting. She's really like it." It's like, no, we were all just really good.
No, it's very a great way to bring us into a little bit behind the scenes there, because you were on that show almost till the end of the run there. Seasons 1 through 7, I think 2 more years to go, and that was it, right?
Yeah, I did all 7, and then they did 8 and 9, and then I came back bizarrely in season 9 for a 2-parter, The Return of Nellie.
Oh, really? Okay, so that was...
That never happens in Hollywood. You leave a show. I mean, I wasn't fired. My contract ran out, so I wasn't really quitting. He was like, "Do you want to come back?" I don't know. Do I get a raise? No. And the usual Hollywood thing. So I'm gone in season 8, and then they decide to do this thing in season 9 because they've added Nancy. What if we brought Nellie back and the ratings? So they're calling my agent. "No, we need her to come be a guest star."
Yeah.
And my agent was floored, like, do 7 years on a show and leave and then get asked to come back and guest star. That doesn't even happen. And he asked for some insane amount of money, and they went, okay. It was totally a bizarre, unusual situation for Hollywood. In Hollywood, that is not a thing. And by golly, I came back and everybody was happy to see me. And I was happy to see them because we really are all friends.
Oh, that's
And
fortunate. Yeah, you didn't have that. I guess they felt they were comfortable calling you back like that because.
Well, I think too, because I mean, Melissa Gilbert, she really came out and said it. She said, it's really boring here without you and everybody misses you. So they knew people were sitting around going, I wish Alison was here. So they're like, I guess we can bring her back. Nobody hates her.
What was nice about that, I liked the way they chose to evolve your character, from the this antagonistic bully who just wants to be snobby all the time and get everybody's goat and everything, and then you sort of had a growing up of sorts, and you get married on the show to maybe we'll talk about your co-star there for a second, but because you were involved in the Cherry involving him, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, love conquers all. So Nellie is just so miserable, or as I said, apparently, nights were lonely on the prairie. She falls in love. Percival comes, and it's like Taming of the Shrew, and like you have no business running a hotel. And of course, she falls madly in love, and they get married, and it's lovely. It turns out he's Jewish, and his real name's Isaiah Cohen, and his parents. I have the babies, the twins, and the Jewish parents. The in-laws come visit. It's a fabulous thing. So I got to be horrible for years, but then I became nice. I became a grown-up. I was a married woman with children. I had twins, and I was this lovely woman with a restaurant, a husband, twins, who was sweet and kind. Yeah. Which normally, in TV, you're the villain. It's like a cartoon. You're just this thing. They don't have your character like get better.
Yeah. But I've seen that happen. I thought it was very realistic approach to that because I've known bullies I grew up with and saw them grow into people. They grew up and turn into nice people,
They grow up, they get over themselves, and they're fine.
Yeah, there was one person I was definitely afraid of. I ended up being pretty friendly with him later on, and I thought that was kind of weird,
Right? On TV shows, they never show that happening. That's not like a thing in TV and fiction land, and here we did. It was very clever. So Steve and I became great friends. Steve Tracy, who played Percival, great guy. And we became really good friends. And after the show, we stayed friends. And then the early 80s happened, and people started getting sick. As my husband Bob says, this is not our first plague. People we knew started to disappear. They went home with their parents, and they didn't come back. And then we hear they died. And then people started to get sick and stay in town, and people began to die, and AIDS had hit, and it was GRID, and it was ARC, and they didn't know what was happening, and then it was AIDS, and then they didn't know how they got it, and then they didn't know how they got it, and then there's no treatment, and it was a horrifying time. And in the middle of this, Steve gets sick, and it took him a while to get diagnosed, because back then you'd go to the doctor, he would go to the doctor and say, okay, I know I have the cancer, I have the Kaposi sarcoma, and I have AIDS, and they go, well, we're not sure. It might be a blister. He's like, yeah, no, I already know. It took him like 4 doctors to figure out because they had no test. So he gets diagnosed, and he goes public. He breaks it to me that he has AIDS, and I was very, very upset because at that time, people were living like 9 weeks, and then it became like 9 months, and then it became like a year and a half. And then eventually they started getting drugs that prolong life. But initially, people were dying in a matter of months. So I was very, very upset. And he said, I'm going public. He went on television. He went on a talk show. And this was right after Rock Hudson and before Liberace. So this was, people did not go on morning talk shows and calmly say, hi, I have AIDS, and you know me from Little House on the Prairie. Absolutely not. And he did it. He was so brave. He did this. And he signed up for all the experimental drug trials. He was like Superman. It was, and he made it to 86. He died in November of 86. And I was devastated, but I signed up at AIDS Project Los Angeles because he had people to help. His mom stood by him. His sister stood by him. He had friends. So he wasn't out in the street. Other people, their family, abandoned them. So I signed up at AIDS Project Los Angeles to see what I could do to help. And I took the hotline training, and I wound up speaking all over the country to different people, how to get it, how not to get it, how to help your friends, what you can do. And I wound up on the hotline. And that was back when people were calling in terror, going, I don't know what to do. I got to get tested, whatever. And we tell them.
Yeah.
And the hotline was run by a guy named Bob, Bob Schoonover. And we became very friendly. But we were just friends. We spoke on panels together at AIDS events. But he had a girlfriend. I was married. And then I got divorced, and he broke up with the girlfriend. And we were having lunch one day, and I said, "You wouldn't want to go out with me, would you?" Well, we did. And we'll be married 27 years this November.
Wonderful story. Wow. You
It's
snuck
like,
that.
did you
You
ever
snuck
see
that in.
Harry Met
I didn't realize this was the beginning of your love story when this all
It
happened.
is. Did you ever see When Harry Met Sally?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the whole thing of like they're friends for like years and they don't go
Uh-huh.
on a date and they're friends and they go through all these other relationships, but they're still
Yeah.
talking to each other and finally they get to. It was exactly like that. It was like When Harry Met Sally. We were
Oh.
friends for 7, almost 8 years before we went on a date.
Oh, that's a great deal of time there, but you hung in there.
Yeah.
You just making sure, you just sort of kicking the tires, making sure you're going to buy the buy
Well,
this
as
thing.
a couple said, well, we got the small talk out of the way, I guess.
Yeah. Let's take it to the next level. Well, that's great. Out of a terrible story, I realized that we went from I was getting a little sad there, and then you threw in this part where you met the love of your life. So that's wonderful.
And it was so crazy, and I was able to help someone. I was able to, and we had the summer party, big fundraiser for APLA, where I did the comedy stage. And during that, I met Tig Notaro and all these fabulous
Oh,
people.
really? Yeah.
And Margaret Cho and Wendy Liebman. These are people all played my stage when I ran the comedy stage for APLA. And so I was able to raise a lot of money. I was able to help a lot of people and get them information they needed. And people were weird because they were so freaked out. They didn't want to take information from like, I don't know, their doctor or normal sources, but somehow Nellie Oleson telling them what this they believed. I was like, people are calling me with medical questions. That's why I did. I thought I better sign up and get answers because I don't know why they're asking me, but they're asking me because I was married on TV to a famous person who was ill. So I lost a lot of friends and it was a devastating time, but I also met some of the most wonderful people who I'm still friends with today.
And what's the status of your involvement with AIDS and everything? Is that still something that you do to this day? Because I know what's kind of fortunate is that you don't hear a lot of cases anymore because of a lot of it's under control, right?
Because people are still sick and dying, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We have drugs now that will sort of arrest it. Someone can take the drugs and have their viral load go down to undetectable, not be sick, and live a full life. And I have several friends on the drug who, without these drugs, would have died years ago and are still going today. It's amazing. And they're able to go back to work and like have a life. The drugs do have side effects. Anyone who's on them will be happy to tell you the horror stories of the things the pills eventually do to you. There's all sorts of weird things. There's a advanced aging thing. And that's a real problem. As people are getting older anyway, they're in their 50s or 60s, and they're going to the doctor going, I've got that. Wait, I should be 70 or 80 to be having these conditions. And they go, yeah, apparently if you have AIDS for a really, really long time, and if you're on the medications for it, it causes rapid aging, and certain systems in your body will now be like 10, 15 years older than if you weren't. Oops. So that's really scary. You have people didn't die of AIDS, but they're having terrible high cholesterol and heart disease and things that they didn't expect. So it's a 6, but as they said, well, or I could be dead. So they're staying alive, so it's working, but people are still getting infected and people are still getting sick, which is crazy. And the thing we have learned so much from AIDS in the years of trying to find a vaccine, trying to find a cure, and finding drugs. The doctors are using this to try to find the cure for COVID and the vaccine for COVID. Dr. Otto Yang, who had on my show, he's involved in drug trials for COVID. He worked in AIDS. A bunch of the guys who worked in AIDS are coming out of retirement to come work on COVID, which is fantastic. Because Bob and I said, not our first plague. The downside is I spent a lot of time in the 80s and 90s hearing at big symposiums and AIDS conferences, we will have a vaccine in 5 years. We will have a vaccine in 10 years. We'll have a vaccine tomorrow. We will have a cure next week. We'll have a cure in 10 years. It's 2020. We still have no cure for AIDS. We still have no vaccine for AIDS. There's no vaccine for HIV. There is no vaccine for the common cold. Yet we are doing these trials and going, we think we are going to have a vaccine for COVID really, really soon, months or certainly within the next year, maybe in the next few months. Where some of them are up to phase 3 trials. There's a couple going to phase 4 trial, which is fantastic. But long term, we don't have a vaccine for the cold, and that's a coronavirus. And we don't have a vaccine for AIDS. And COVID attacks the immune system as well as other things. So I don't know. I've seen what happens when you have a new disease, and it's really, really, really hard to make a vaccine or get a cure. And I don't know that we'll have a cure or vaccine for COVID. We might, because of what we learned from AIDS. But I am also kind of like not holding a breath here.
Well, you are just one woman, but you are a caring person, and you are bringing a lot of other people and bringing awareness to it because of your prominence. And I was going to say that's all you can do, but hopefully what you do inspires other people to do the same thing that you do and get involved and with
and Bob
charities.
And I find ourselves doing like similar things now. We've done stuff. Several of the Little House actors. We had a thing where my friend Pamela Baba did a show, Living on a Prairie. We did a little thing online with several of the actors of Little House with an interview. It was a fundraiser for the Actors Fund's COVID Assistance Fund. So I'm back to helping raise money to help people with COVID. Bob and I have our masks, talking about like, wear your mask, wash your hands. And I thought, are we doing this again? Wait, are we going to be telling people to wear the condom again? It was just, we're back. We're doing it again. I feel like it's 1986. We're going through the same thing of trying to go, how does it work? It's a virus. Does it work this way? Does it work that way? How do we protect ourselves? I'm going, I remember, I'm having deja vu. I remember this all happening.
Yeah. But just to bridge on that, I'll keep it moving along because we're getting close to the end of the hour, and I appreciate
the hour is gone like.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time out of your literally your busy schedule to talk with me about just have some fun talking about all your. I'm not saying what we just talked about is a fun thing, but everything else was a lot of. But I did want to ask you about piggybacking on what we talked about with getting involved with AIDS. You just got through talking to some people. The Protect is one of these organizations that's Could you tell me a little bit about that, because that sounds very important and very. It's great that you're involved doing something like this.
A big quarterly meeting this afternoon. National Association to Protect Children, or protect.org. Go to the website, and started now. It's been a few years now. To sort of close loopholes in the law, to attack the problem of child abuse and child sexual abuse differently, because there were people and they were getting people arrested and they were getting them to court, and then they'd be convicted and walk out the courthouse door. We're like, wait, how did that happen? So we went legislatively. Clearly there's problems. There's loopholes in the law where people who abuse their own children were getting a lesser sentence and a free pass. Like, as long as you don't molest the neighbor's kids, it's like somehow okay. So there were real problems, and we changed laws in several states. We also started talking to the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which are the designated part of the police that go after these people online who are selling child pornography, trafficking children. And they said, we're kind of outgunned and outmanned. So we started the Hero Corps program. We're training veterans returning from war to go and become trained to go work with ICAC, and lobbying the federal government saying, please don't cut the budget to the nice people who go and find these people, because they need to hire more people so that they can go and arrest these people who are trafficking children and abusing them and filming it. So we made those things happen. We helped create technology that helped the police and the ICAC teams find these people who, encrypt what they do and try to hide what they're doing on the internet. And it has helped. I mean, we have heard back from ICAC that they have been able to break many of these child sexual abuse images, these rings, these people. What happens is, not only do they have these people, okay, they've downloaded stuff, but then they get there and there's the kid from the video. These people are sexually abusing their own children or their neighbor's children, the children they babysit, and filming it. That's what it is. The easiest way I can explain it is Jared of Subway. We all remember that case when he was finally. That's ICAC. That's Internet Crimes Against Children. ICAC. Those are the people who came in the van when you saw him get arrested on the news. That's what ICAC does. They track and find and prosecute people like Jared. And he was a hands-on offender. He was going to Thailand. He was doing all of that kind of creepy stuff.
Wow.
And so he was actually abusing young children and also collecting the images thereof. So that's the kind of, we're fighting that at Protect. And we are making a dent. We're hearing back that it is absolutely having an effect and there's legislation right now in play to help this. There's a whole going to be a whole study, a whole panel they're talking about creating to actually from Washington actually study and address this problem nationwide. So we're making enormous strides that a few years ago I would have said were impossible. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
Oh, congratulations on that, all that done. And how long have you been doing involved with that?
Oh gosh, I'm thinking it's like 2004, I guess, was when I found myself in Sacramento testifying before the Public Safety Committee of the Senate of California about why maybe it was a bad idea to allow people who molested children to go free with no time served as long as it was their own kid.
Okay.
It's like, oh, there's a crazy idea. What if maybe they went to jail? So yeah,
Yeah.
it was 2004.
That's about the time you publicly went. You admitted you went public as a survivor of that, right?
That's true, because I my friends knew, and my close friends knew, and I'd been to therapy, but I never felt compelled to go public with talking about having been sexually abused as a child. But then when they said, we're trying to get this law changed, it's going to come up. And I went, yeah, it's going to come up. I guess I'm out. And next thing I knew, I was on Larry King Live on CNN talking about having been abused. But during the show was also, oh, by the way, and here's the legislators you can call if you think this law is a terrible idea. And we pretty much crashed the servers in Sacramento with the emails and the calls.
Yeah, you touched a nerve. You did it. That's
good.
Get
a nerve. And then I had my book come out in 2010, and there was more extension of that. And it's been, we've gotten some stuff done. It's horrible, some of the things that are going on. It's just horrifying.
Oh, yeah. But Protect, the Protect organization that you were just referring to here, is that mainly incest and child sexual abuse, or is it other abuses like physical neglect, verbal, that kind of thing?
Well, indeed, we're expanding. I mean, mostly in the laws, we're looking at absolutely how are the laws for physical abuse and the maltreatment of children generally? Mm-hmm. Are they terrible? Are these working? Yeah. And are people recognizing how widespread these issues are? But indeed, the problem of the sexual abuse of children and the creation of child sex abuse images or child pornography and trafficking is so severe that we have devoted like a whole department to trying to bring that down. But indeed, the incest exception came up because we were aghast when everyone said they wanted to protect children. Everyone said, oh yes, someone who sexually abuses a child absolutely should go to jail. And then we found out there was this whole population of people who were convicted. Not like they weren't convicted. They were convicted. They said, yep, I did it. And they didn't have to go to jail because they were related to the victim. Yeah. And we said, no, that can't possibly be right.
Yeah, because it's just as horrifying, a sibling or a cousin or something like that.
In some places, some countries, I think Canada is one of them, they have a thing they call Breach of Trust Act, where the penalty can actually be more so if it is someone who is in a position of trust.
Yeah. Now, I don't know too much. I'll try to back off because I don't know enough about it. But what about recently? What was going on with these rings where they brought? They were doing it under the table with Wayfair, et cetera, where they would where they were trying to buy children, and they would have codes and special. Right.
Someone put that out, but that's not how it works. Like one of the things, the fact that they said, well, it must be child trafficking because it's so much money. People who love children make the mental assumption that it would be very expensive to purchase a child because we think of you and I of children as valuable. The horrifying reality is it's cheap. There aren't any multi-$1,000 sales of children. You can go buy a child for $50. They're cheap. You could go outside your door and find someone who will sell you their baby. Mm-hmm. That's the brass tacks. There isn't a magical thing of people selling children in cabinets for thousands of dollars because they don't need to. They buy and sell children for pennies every day.
I wanted you to sort of, I was hoping you could point out the reality of that because it seemed so strange just to hear this going down like that.
Well, but what's weird is
when you could do like exactly what you said, it's cheap.
You can go buy a kid for 10 cents. And the reality, I mean, for law enforcement, people who've been working in this, they're going, cabinets? Wait, what? What's weird is I remember reading about that the rumors started literally as a rumor, as a supposition, the original thing, there wasn't a case of an arrest. There wasn't a case of someone coming forward saying, hello, I'm an adult. When I was a child, I was sold with furniture. That has not taken place. Someone saw an ad and literally said, this is a lot of money. Surely they must be selling a human being with that cabinet, because you couldn't possibly be paying that much for furniture.
Yeah.
Literally, that was it. And someone said, well, that must be it. It must indeed be people in the furniture.
That's so ugly and creepy. Such an ugly and creepy thing. Yeah.
That's kind of weird. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past someone to think of doing that. The things that I've seen because of knowing about ICAC, the things that are done to children in this country that people are doing every day are horrifying and absolutely defy description and imagination. They are unspeakable. But the part that has always killed me was when people say, well, there's a lot of money. It's like, yeah, you can pretty much a couple of $100 get yourself a kid. It's kind of horrifying. It's cheap. They have, to these people, they have no value. They have no value whatsoever.
Well, Alison, I'm going to try to climb out of this pit of despair. And thanks for putting...
It was horrible. But the good news is, like I said, the only reason I sleep at night is at least I know that Protect and all these people Protect and the men and women on the ICAC teams across the country are actually doing something. They are actually going out and stopping people. Yeah.
I wouldn't have asked you about those two subjects had I not known that there was... because I knew that there was some good being done in this area, and that, you know, good guys are trying their best to win this battle, you know, because, you know, there's always going to be the bad guys, you know.
If anybody is selling anybody in a cabinet, I assure you the ICAC people will find them.
Jeez. Let me see. You mentioned briefly, for a second, you mentioned your book. Now, is that the one, Confessions of a Prairie Biatch, or was that something else?
Confessions of Prairie Biatch. How I survived being Nellie Oleson and learned to love being hated.
Yeah. Now, how did that? That's 10 years ago. Seems like I remember.
Right?
I remember. Yeah, I didn't buy your book. I apologize, but I heard the raving at the time. I remember how well it was received, and you had there was a book signing that I was going to take my wife to go when you were doing the book signings. You know, running the whole junket or whatever you call it. There was a place called a restaurant called the Anaheim White House down where I live. That's just down the road from where I am. And I was going to come see you, and I regretted not being able to come because something came up, and I couldn't come to it. And I said I wanted to meet Nellie Oleson, so to speak. You know,
if you'd come to that, not only me, but we had a bunch of people from Little House. We had Rodimus Parra. We had Gene Butler was down there. We had Baby Carrie. We had the whole gang. Mrs. Garvey showed up. We had a whole slew of people. It was quite the party at that.
I don't think that was 10 years ago, but it was, you know, a little after. You were still promoting that, and it was wonderful. Yeah.
I was so amazed by the book because, you know, you write a celebrity book, and usually there's like a 3-month flurry because it's a celebrity memoir, and then they go to like the next celebrity memoir and move on. But they just didn't. My book just stuck in there and just stayed and stayed and stayed. And people still, and now here I'm holding it. And then we have the audio book, which is available. The audio, you can download, you know, the audiobook, and yes, it's me reading it, of course, the MP3. But I just got my hands on a bunch of the physical CDs in the box because people are like, but I want to get the thing in the box so you can autograph it. I'm like, and I get and it's pretty. It's really pretty. They did a nice cover. But yeah, so I did the audiobook. That's more, which is crazy. You usually do the audiobook when the book comes out, but we didn't. So I just recently went out and did the audiobook. So now we have that.
And the audiobook was in your voice, and you're just talking normal. You're not putting on the old Nellie voice, or are there times when you are imitating yourself at 12 or?
Right, because I get in the studio, and the woman who directed, they have a director, and they're really, really good. The woman, she directed all the top audiobooks, so I got her. And you get in there, and she's talking about like how, you know, she's, remember, you're inside, they're in headphones, or they're in the car. You're like inside their heads. So you got to go easy on people. But yes, imitating like Catherine McGregor, who was Mrs. Olson, whenever Catherine would say something. And terrible. Whenever it was Melissa Gilbert, because Melissa Gilbert, when she was little, tended to sound a little like Bart Simpson on Helium. I mean, we all had to have a voice, but Melissa had this I'm going to tell her Nina.
Yeah.
Like, so absolutely. Yeah. I totally got into it and like did voices for people.
That was fun for me to watch. I know exactly what you mean with that voice that she had and the big teeth and everything, because she's my age. So I understand. I was growing up with her and all that.
Cute as a button, but those teeth and then they know that pop.
Says,
And then I talk like this.
You take that back, Nellie Oleson.
you know, that type of thing. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Then I was like, and your paw smells like a dirty horse. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was like somewhere up here in the nasal thing. Yeah.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. And not to break the illusion, but I understood you two were very friendly, the two of you.
Yeah, still, she's over in New York now, but we're still like, let's text. Yeah, we hit it off, which is weird, and I think that's a thing when you play enemies on TV. You know, it's got to that people wind up being really good friends because you're venting all your hostilities. There's like nothing left. It's like, but we hit it off, and we would have slumber parties at each other's house. It was hilarious.
I understand when somebody plays a villain, it's always fun for that. They'd rather do that because you get a chance to get that bad side of you out. You know, that part
Right.
that part you don't want people to treat you that way, but you get a chance to be that way.
So relaxing. And I met Larry Hagman, who was JR, and it was the same thing. He was very chill and mellow because it's like, I get it all out.
So let's see. I think I should let you off the hook and let you get
Right, I gotta get
ready
to the
for your
next thing. I gotta gear up for my next round.
First of all, what do you? Where's a good place to? Is there like a one-stop shop where you can find out all these things about Nellie? I mean Nellie, but now that we've talked about Nellie, we'll put her aside for a second. Alison Arngrim, is there an AlisonArngrim.com? So to
I
speak,
have a
that we could do?
website. There is I have an AlisonArngrim.net, but I have Bonnet Heads, BonnetSheads,
Bonnet Heads, yeah.
Bonnet Heads, HEADS, BonnetHeads, bonnetheads.com is my website. You can read about stuff there. Of course, my Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. But what you want to do is sign up for the Nellie newsletter. If you you just email Loose Gravel Productions, that's me. That's my company, Loose Gravel Prod at AOL.com. Or hit me up on Facebook and I'll send you the email, Loose Gravel Prod, and say, I want the Nellie newsletter. And you once a month will get an email with everything about what I'm doing, everywhere I'm going to be, plus everywhere anyone else in the entire cast of Little House on the Prairie is going to be.
Nice.
And you also get the Saga of Sock Monkey, which is a stream of consciousness story about Secret Agent Sock Monkey, International Monkey of Mystery, who is a sort of if like, Jason Bourne or James Bond was a monkey.
This is a real thing, right? Okay.
Yeah. My husband writes it. It's hysterical. It's just really weird. One day started writing the Saga of Sock Monkey, and it's it's great, and it's like a soap opera. You got to get the last episode and get caught up in it.
I want to be able to do you justice. I mean, we're throwing out all these different websites, Loose Gravel Prod, and then we have Alison Arngrim. We have bonnetheads.com. Stageit.com is where,
and any of my Facebook, but yeah, we can hook you up with the Nellie newsletter.
Nellie newsletter sounds cool. I like it,
Very good.
And I like
I said, the whole cast. Like if Melissa Gilbert's doing a movie, if Karen Grassley's in a play, if anybody's doing anything, we tell you about it too.
Oh, that's great. You're sort of the go-between for you tell you all things of your favorite stars, cast from the Little House.
I promote, Dean Butler and the whole gang. I don't mind.
This is wonderful, yeah, and it sounds like everybody got along on that set too. I mean, as far as not too much bad drama going on around.
Well, I mean, our idea of a bad day was like, I'm not eating lunch with you. People would come visit our set from other shows and say, you do understand that on other shows people have like restraining orders against each other. I mean, like you guys are like so nice, it's ridiculous. So we're still in touch with each other. It's weird.
Let me just ask you kind of a standard question that's probably been asked a lot, but how did you like working under Michael Landon, who was a huge star at the time that's even started? He was a big star.
Yeah.
So.
He was just come off Bonanza, so he was, the cute boy from Bonanza. Fantastic. First of all, he was one of the funniest people I ever met. He had a wonderfully warped sense of humor. And brilliant. He was he was writing the show, directing the show, producing the show. He was doing everything. So he's the mad genius of television. He was doing this all at once. And he was a taskmaster because he knew what he wanted. He he knew what shots he was going to do before he got to the set. We're going to do this, we're going to do it close, and we're going to do this. He had it all timed out. We shot an incredible number of pages a day. People would visit our set and they'd see our call. She'd go, you can't do that many pages. That's 14 pages. You can't do that in a day. It's impossible. And I'm like, watch me. He did. And he was like, go, do this. And you had to know what you were doing and we children were held to a very high standard. But 5 minutes later, with the giggling and the practical jokes and the silliness, and it was an incredible place to work.
That's great, and I like how that shows like the one you worked on were they hold up. My theory has always been that when you have a period setting, like you're in the 1800s and Walton's was set in the Depression era and everything, with the costuming, everything holds up 50 years later, 40 years later, because everybody's still dressed in the same hairstyles and the clothes are different, and so it doesn't look like it's dated.
We can't be dated. We were nostalgia when we started.
Yeah. Before
we were already in the 1800s, so we can't be dated. We can just keep going. And it does. And it's in 140 countries, and people watch it every day all over the world. Like I said, my Facebook Live. Hello, Sweden. Hello, France. Hello, Brazil. They're all there.
Yeah.
Every country. It's really big in Japan, France, and Argentina seem to be like the biggest. It is the most bananas thing. It's people. It does not date. They will not stop watching it.
Yeah, so it's another one of these. It just reruns all the time. So that's great. Wow. I could.
We could do this all day, but I do have other people who want to do these same things. So.
Yeah. No. It's we didn't go too far over. I try not to. I don't want to bore my guests, but maybe another time because you have so much going on. Remind me of so many of the things that you have going on. So you have this show tomorrow. Confessions of a Prairie Terror.
Go to Stageit.com and Confessions of Prairie Terror. You buy a ticket, and we have a thing with tips. We can win prizes. We have prizes.
Yeah.
So we have that. October 15th is Rich Little's Virtually Speaking, also on Stageit.com.
Looking forward to it.
I'm every day on Facebook Live. I can be found on Cameo, Coach the World, Twitter, and Instagram, and everything. And I have a store. There is a store, Not Your Mother's Mercantile, Loose Gravel, on Square. You go to Square, look up Loose Gravel. I can sell you stuff. Bonnetheads.com. You can look it all up over there, and there you go. And protect.org, of course, and their marvelous work.
Thanks for talking about all of that stuff. I'm interested in all of it, and your mom, God bless her. I hope. It sounds like she was a wonderful woman, and like I said, she was a hero to me. Looking up to her with all those voices and everything, because that's the kind of thing I wanted to do. I really enjoyed that, and it was nice to know that that's your mama. So. All my best to Bob. Thank you for dragging the band into the picture, because that gives a little bit of a reference point for the kind of show I do.
I have Catahoula CDs available on my online store, so you can buy his album.
I have so many of these little links that I'm going to put when I promote this part of the show.
Cool.
But thank you. All my best, and let me say how much it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Allison, and I hope we get to do this again. Have a great day today, and good luck with the rest of good luck with that show tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.